When it comes to music, books, and movie scenario, we have a huge shock. The new technology has destroyed for good our great vinyl LPs, have changed for little tapes called K7, after the straight for a mirror donut called CD, and by the end, transformed all this in a media known as MP3. The MP3 fits in all little keys of 1 inch. The CDs, K7s and vinyls LPs don't. The TV shows have been replaced by low-quality animated cartoons that shows the end of civilization as we know. Animals upset human beings real bad and have fun with it. One of these animals is the woodpecker. Woody woodpecker is a red-feathered bird with about half meter that look for food inside trees, making holes with a sharp beak. In the cartoon, Woodpecker showed that we was directly influenced by Generation X and by PlayStation 2 games. Assaulting people, tricking them, lying among the good costumes of society. Out of this scenario of chaotic situations, we have also commemorated to exhaustion the celebration of Brazil's 500 years. The mysterious sink of the Russian nuclear submarine Kursk. The crash of the Air France Concorde, which killed 130 people. TV station Global started his standard campaign of futuristic stickers. The Indian Lara Dutta was crowded Miss Universe. Vladimir Putin took charge of Russia, and the Pope apologized for all the crimes committed in the name of Catholic Church. But don't worry, ladies and gentlemen, we have so much more to offer. Not happy to satisfy our curiosity of the year 2000, our brilliant scientists also brought us from the future what those helpless kids expected for the year 2050. You did misheard, 2050, ladies and gentlemen. The first big change of the world after 2050 will be the absence of gravity, with the objects floating. Daily activities, as well as eating and get dressed, will be hard as Olympic sports. Also transportation and living. A house that stays on the corner of the street will be up in the air. The nice and rebuilding garage from the country house now is up in the air. Your tree is up in the air. The most talented basketball players will get together to try to decide the big changes in the sport. Simple steps are now complicated, and the dunk is now as common as hearing the judge whistle at the end of the game. The judges have been replaced by robots that give us undoubtable answers. One of the biggest changes in the year 2050 will be the telephones. Telephones have been created in 1860. They allow two people far away from each other to communicate. From 2000 on, telephones will have many tools, as cameras, radio, movie cameras, but people rarely can talk to each other using it. The children in 2050 will have the teachers replaced by clones, and all the classes will have TV instead of a blackboard. The clones are perfect copies of human beings that are made for exact reproduction of the genetic map by an asexuated reproduction. The Pope is the cloning process' biggest enemy. The animals will be abducted by aliens who will replace them by animal robots with antennas and wings in several parts from the bodies. The iPod and MSN will lose their places by similar technologies with holograms instead of the usual static image. And the monopoly power will go to a new creation called Wikipedia, which will have answers for every single question in the world, just like the elderly people used to have, and like the Pope is now. The difference between them and the unlikely, the Pope, and the elderly person, Wikipedia supports the clone teachers. There is also a big possibility of the return of dinosaurs back in Earth. That seems to be unlikely, but not as much as animal robots or telephones with internet. All this together with helicopters flying around the town, doing the boo boo boo, creating an horrifying scenario of holograms, helicopters, and dinosaurs. The local fashion is based in a TV program for children called Power Rangers. Power Rangers only use a robot-like armor that with a big floating head with low voice and a real robot fight against giant monsters and a really old lady with horns. But instead of all expectations, the world of 2050 will not have robots. Not What if the minimal slice of a robot living in those future towns? It is impossible to be done. Just can't. Robots are now, for a fact, the modern society myth. There aren't robots, and if there were, they wouldn't be capable of walking in silence, of giving a device, and they wouldn't have belly buttons. Belly button is the resulting scar of the physiologic fall from umbilical cord, and it is usually shows as a skin depression. The word belly button arose from the Latin umbilicus, diminutive from umbo, meaning a round prominence of an area. The umbilical cord normally falls between or on 2 weeks after the kid's birthday, originating the baby's belly button. So, no silent robots with belly buttons walking around. The year of 2050 promises to be catastrophic and weird. I'd rather not to be there to see it. In spite of it all, being gay is now considered to be an unbailable crime and subject to death penalty. Even knowing the global warming is a lie, half of the cities around the world will be invaded by the polar ice water. The penguins will be extinguished. The polar bears will superpopulate, and they are being used for the population control in China. The new Pope took back the apology from 2000 and promised that the next 50 years will be full with new crimes committed by the Catholic Church.